PFP versus art. Which is the best for you? What's the difference between those two NFT categories and which one is the best for you? That's the question we're going to try to answer today. Hello everyone, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Daily Data Degen. My name is Flo. Every day I help you understand the NFT market, the crazy NFT market. Today we are Wednesday 18th of May and we're going to discuss the difference and the positive point of purchasing NFT that are either PFP or art. So let's get started first by looking quickly at the overall market. We can see in terms of coins related to NFT, it's really stable. There's still the pullback of the beginning of last week, but in the overall scheme of things, we are really stable and looking for a direction. In terms of the floor price, it's exactly the same story. We are really stable. Depends. There are some projects that are starting to pump a bit, but such as the Lens in Sandbox, maybe because of the recent roadmap they released, or Azuki after the very nasty pullback they had due to the FUD of the founder. So in the overall scheme of things, we are really stable looking for direction, which can be actually an interesting time to go back to the basics and trying to understand what's the difference when you buy an NFT between PFP and art. So first you have to understand the difference. Art are made by artists, PFP are made by project, by startups, Web3 startups. So when you buy art from an artist, you're not looking for anything else than appreciation, falling in love with the art, appreciating the work and the message or the universe the artist can communicate. While the PFP project, you're more gonna base your analysis on the community behind, what's the utility. So PFP stands for profile picture, just as a reminder. And those profile pictures, they are generated algorithmically. So it's generative art, basically, but art there is not the main focus. The main focus is the brand, right? The community and the utility for those Web3 startups. So it all depends. Are you going to buy art or are you going to buy into a vision, a project? That's the first things to understand. Then there is, the approach is therefore completely different. When you invest in an artist, you need first to fall in love with it, and then with the art, of course, not with the artist. And then you have to dig, and look for the good one, etc., etc. It's the same. There is a lot of research to do when you invest in PFP, but the approach here is more, you have maybe more expectation because you're not buying into an artistic asset, but really into a speculative asset. Let's say it speculative, but potentially with a lot of upside. If you have more short-term mind and you want to flip, basically you are like a flipper or trader, NFT trader, then PFP are made for you. If you have more long-term vision, purchasing art might make more sense. If you're into art, you will trust more your personal feeling versus when you buy into a PFP, you have more liquidity, meaning you can more easily buy and sell those assets. Usually it comes with a roadmap. So the more a project is popular, the more the company behind is going to touch royalties every time they sell, and those royalties can be reinvested in a sexy roadmap, or like big projects. So basically it's passive income that they can really innovate also because they have a team, they have the budget, and they have the feedback from the community. So basically nothing is preventing them from innovating. So what's the downside for NFTs PFP? First, it's hard to keep the community engaged. After you made the sale, how do you keep people excited? You need constantly to innovate, to release stuff. And some people just give up after the job, and so that's really bad. That's really really bad. That's why the Azuki founder and Fud, for example, arrive, is because the founder was working in 3 different projects before and just left them and made millions and just left, because the problem is when you do a major sale like this. I mean, for a PFP project to work out, basically you need to sold out relatively quickly. If you do, that's millions that arrive in your bank account. What do you do with it? Well, sometimes it's much easier to just run away with the money instead of trying to build something. Because building in the space, it's so hard because the space moves so fast. So you really need consistency, patience, and the speed of execution. So that's one of the downside. Okay, it's really competitive market, so moving fast. So it's hard to keep the community engaged. It's hard to really innovate and provide real liquidity as well, because at the end those assets, they are still NFT. It's okay, it's on internet, it's more liquid because anyone can purchase it around the world, but it's like buying and selling cars. You cannot just sell it to anyone. It's very specific targets that want this kind of car, and yeah, it's tough. There's another aspect, is usually those collections have a big art component, but often it's secondary. If you take, for example, the board Ape Yacht Club, it's not at all about the art, yet it's the most expensive collection. Why? Because the focus is more on the community, the utility it brings, the social status, more than the art. For the doodles, for example, the art is what make them really stand out. It was really original projects like Invisible Friends, or there's a lot of projects like this that really what took them, stand them out from the crowd, is the beauty of the art, of the aspects. And although it's secondary, it still play a very important role in bringing the community together, because obviously the more clean is your PFP, the more clean is the art, the more chances you have that people are proud of it and represent it wherever they go. And the last downside, I would say, of the PFP project is the good project with the good teams are expensive, and the new projects are really risky, because you don't have any certainty that the team is going to execute on the vision, or there's going to be any execution post drop. So it's risky, and usually, it's a risk. The risk reward ratio is really high, because if they do something and the project work good and you mint the NFT, then you can directly make a profit out of it. Okay, cool. That was about PFP. What about now art? The upside of art, first of all, is the best type of community you can join is people just genuinely appreciating the artist and the artwork of the artist. So it's the best type of community. It's the community that love art for the sake of art and not for the sake of speculation. So that's number one. Number two, because there's just one artist, there's only a certain amount they can provide, they can create. So there's a really limited supply on the artworks. So if you bet on the good horse, when like we say in France, if you bet on the good artists, they're gonna keep create, of course, and keep being involved and sharing the storytelling and stuff like this. Well, it's the perfect element, because there's very limited supply of the art that this artist can produce. The upside that is also could be a downside is that you really speculate on the artist's success. You really speculate on one person. So on one hand, it can be really, bad, because you cannot. It's hard to speculate on one person. But the upside is that if you're good at it, you can know which artist is gonna make a killing because of the way they talk, or the art is so powerful. There's plenty of stuff, but I've interviewed more than 60 artists, and some you can tell that they are really good at telling their story, and the art is so tremendously beautiful and transcendent that you're gonna make a killing, in 1, 2, 5, 10 years. So you can speculate on one person. You can also support that person if it's a rising artist. It's a new kind of mecena. So there's no better feeling than supporting a rising artist. And finally, the potential upside is insane. While NFT collection, PFP collection have good potential upside, the potential upside of art is infinite, because art is priceless, art is meaningful. If you have a really significant artist doing very special piece, you can be sure that this art piece will be priceless, and therefore the potential is infinite. But downside is linked with the fact that it's just one artist. It's hard to scale. Okay, you cannot expect an artist that will care about the floor price, the minimum people pay for their art, just like NFT startup will do, right? So you cannot really scale like the customer support, the roadmap, and all that stuff. So also you don't have any roadmap or utilities, usually, because it's not what it's made for. And you also rely on the ability of the artist to do the art, the marketing, and all the stuff they need to do, or to be able to recruit. So to have a real team to help him or help her do the job. So that's it. There's quite some downsides. So what's the best for you? Well, it all depends first of your profile. Are you more feeling like a trader or a collector? Do you have more tendency to buy and sell and trying to make a little profit out of it? Or do you invest in the long term in the artistic potential of someone? That's the first question you have to ask yourself. I am a trader or am I a collector? The second thing, and I think is actually the most important advice of all, is you always have to be in love. So you have to fall in love, either with the art if you're investing in the artist, or with the community with the community if you invest in PFP. And you don't do that if you don't fall in love, if you don't have this sparkle, if you don't have this passion that tells you, okay, like this is what I like, And because if the market crash, you can rely on those two things. You can rely on the art, the fact that you love it, and that you will never sell, because you're not gonna sell losing money. And if everyone does that, then you can be sure that the art will be valued in a couple of months or years again. And yeah, and if you don't have the love of the community, then you have nothing with the PFP, basically. So what's the best? The best of the best for me is when you have both, actually. Is when you have an OG artist, very famous, that did a lot of one-on-one unique pieces, that start to do the PFP. And there are a couple of examples, and I will present it to you maybe in the next video or next week. But yeah, let me know if you're interested in knowing more about other categories of NFT, or if you want to discover what's my favorite collection and what will I purchase next according to those elements I just introduced to you. That's it for today. I hope it wasn't too much boring video. It's really the basics. I wish you all a beautiful day. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to know what's the next videos about, and have a wonderful day. Take care, everyone. Lot of kisses, lot of love. Bye bye, bye bye, bye bye, bye bye.